Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ahmad Badri Muhammad Zahir, the Chairman of the Board of Directors of RHB Bank Berhad. And on behalf of the Board, I welcome all of you once again to the EGM of the RHB Bank. To the shareholders who have attended the AGM, which you have just completed, you may have noted that the following matters pertaining to the meeting details, but for good corporate governance, please indulge me to record the relevant matters as part of the EGM proceeding. This is a virtual EGM live from the broadcast venue at Meeting Room 3 of RHB Centre. This EGM is convened in a virtual manner to continue to safeguard the well-being of members, directors and employees of the company due to COVID-19 pandemic that is still affecting all of us, albeit we are already moving towards the endemic stage. The convening of this virtual meeting is in compliance with Section 327 of the Companies Act 2016, which stipulate that the chairman shall be at the main venue of the AGM, and also in accordance with the Clause 50 of the company's constitution, which allows the AGM to be held at more than one venue using any instantaneous telecommunication devices that allow members to participate in the meeting. This virtual meeting is also convened in accordance with the Security Commission Malaysia guidance and frequently asked questions on the conduct of general meeting for listed issuer. Before we proceed any further, I now call upon the Company Secretary to confirm whether we have a quorum to proceed with today's meeting.
Thank you, Yang Berhad Tan Sri Chairman, Chairman, Directors and members of RHB Bank. I am pleased to confirm the following. Based on the registration data given by Quorum, our share registrars, as at 12:42 p.m. Today, a total of 931 members and or proxy, representing a total of 2.643 billion shares, have registered through our remote participation and electronic voting facility for today's attendance at the extraordinary general meeting. Therefore, pursuant to Clause 56 of the company's constitution, two members present in person or by proxy or by corporate rep shall constitute a quorum for this EGM. Therefore, I am pleased to confirm that we have a quorum to proceed with today's proceedings, Chairman.
Thank you, Azman. As a Group Company Secretary has confirmed that we have a requisite for quorum, I therefore declare the meeting duly constituted. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and the need to ensure compliance with social distancing requirements, we have limited the number of persons present at the broadcast venue to essential individuals only. And here at the broadcast venue, on my right again, is Mr. Encik Muhammad Rashid Muhammad, the Group Managing Directors of the RHB Banking Group. And on my left is the Group Company Secretary, Encik Azman Shah Mat Yaman. We have the remaining directors participating remotely for this meeting. Again, they are Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Rebecca Fatimah Stamaria, the Senior Independent Non-Executive Director. Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Ong Leong Huat alias Wong Ju Hua. Miss Ong Aileen. Mr. Lim Chen Teck. Puan Sharifatul Laila Said Ali. Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Nasir Abdul Latif. Mr. Donald Jajwa Jagannathan, and Yang Berbahagia Datuk Ian John Low. You may see them on the screen of the live webcast. Also present at this broadcast venue are the representatives from our share registrar, pool administrator, boardroom share registrar, and our scrutinous Mrs. KP MG PLT. Our external auditor, Mrs. PricewaterhouseCoopers PLC, are also attending this meeting virtually. Members and proxies are invited to ask questions at any time during this meeting by submitting written question via the messaging window facility as provided by the virtual meeting portal. And all questions relating to other administrative matters, such as requests for the annual report, will be addressed by the team via the portal. The board will address questions related to the proposed establishment of a share grant scheme or RHB Bank and its subsidiaries. Ladies and gentlemen, the notice of the extraordinary general meeting dated 12 April 2022 was circulated to you within the required statutory notice period in line with the governance best practice. And I'm sure that all of you have read the notice, and with your permission, I shall take the notice as read. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to paragraph 8.29A of the main market listing requirement of Bursa Malaysia Security Berhad, RHB Bank, being a listed issuer, must ensure that the voting of each resolution set out in the notice for this meeting are conducted by way of electronic polling. In this regard, I would like to exercise my right as the chairman of the meeting to demand for a poll in accordance with Clause 60 of the company's constitution in respect of all resolutions which will be forwarded to voting at this meeting. The company has appointed Boardroom Share Registrar as the pool administrator to conduct the voting by way of e-polling, and Messrs KPMG PLT as scrutinizers to verify and validate the poll result. Next, a visual presentation of the e-polling process shall be played for your benefit.
Dear shareholders, thank you for your participation at today's virtual meeting. On this virtual meeting platform, you will be able to view the live broadcast of the meeting proceedings, pose questions to the Board of Directors, and submit your votes in real time while the meeting is in progress. To view the live broadcast of the meeting, please click this broadcast icon. If you are participating in this meeting via a laptop or desktop, the live broadcast panel can be viewed side by side with the voting panel. To maximize the broadcast panel, please click here. Audio of the live broadcast will continue to play in the background, even during the voting process or when the broadcast panel is being minimized. Do adjust the volume control on your device for optimum audio output. Please click this arrow to return to the main meeting screen. You can minimize the broadcast panel by clicking this broadcast icon again. Should you encounter any issues with the broadcast view, please refresh the page by clicking this refresh icon. If you have any questions for the Board of Directors, you may raise them at any time before or during the meeting. To do so, please click on this messaging icon. Type your question within the chat box and click on this arrow to submit your question. A message will appear that your question has been received. To return to the main meeting screen, click on this icon. To view the resolutions for this meeting and submit your votes, please click on this voting icon. Once the voting has opened, the resolutions and voting options will be displayed. To vote, please select one of the available options, for or against. A confirmation message will appear to indicate that your vote has been received. To change your vote, please click on the other option. A confirmation message will appear to indicate that your new voting direction has been received. If you wish to cancel your vote, please click on Cancel. You may change your voting direction at any time before the chairman closes the voting session. Once the chairman announces that the voting session is closed, you will not be able to change your voting direction anymore. You may click on the broadcast icon to return to the live broadcast screen for the announcement of voting results. Should you require any assistance during the virtual meeting, please call Boardroom's help desk at 603-7890-4700 or email us at bsr.helpdesk@boardroomlimited.com. Thank you and have a pleasant day.
And gentlemen, the voting session is now open. Members may start registering their vote electronically until the conclusion of such session, which will be announced later. Ladies and gentlemen, next item is to seek your approval on the proposed share grant scheme as follows. Proposed establishment of share grant scheme of RHB Bank and its subsidiaries of up to 2% of the total number of issued share of RHB Bank, including treasury shares, if any, at any point of time. Secondly, proposed allocation of up to a maximum of 2,613,400 ordinary shares of RHB Bank for the total vesting period of 5 years to Encik Muhammad Rashid Muhammad, the Group Managing Director and Group CEO of RHB Banking Group. And thirdly, proposed allocation of up to a maximum of 590,000 RHB Bank shares to Mrs. Eliza Ong Yin Xuan, the Regional Head of RHB Asset Management Group, the Managing Director of RHB Asset Management Jalan Berhad, and the daughter of the Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Ong Leong Huat, alias Wong Ju Hua. And now, I call upon the Group MD, Encik Muhammad Rashid Muhammad, to give a presentation on the proposed share grant scheme.
Thanks again, Tan Sri Chairman. I believe that the objective today has been shared by Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri. Let me move straight to the timeline of the proposed SGS, share grant scheme. The proposed SGS is expected to be implemented by second quarter of this year. What we have done so far on the 15th of December 2021, I think we have made the announcement of the proposed SGS for eligible employees of RHB Bank and its subsidiaries of up to 2% of the total number of issued shares of RHB Bank. I think this is excluding the treasury shares, if any. And on the 17th of February, we have obtained approval from Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad for the listing of the quotation of the new RHB Bank shares to be issued under the proposed SGS. And as of today, we are seeking EGM approval to seek shareholders' approval on the establishment of the proposed SGS. And the implementation of the proposed SGS is targeted to be second quarter of this year. Let me just give you some overview as to why this proposed SGS is being put forward for approval. Okay, first of all, I think the intention of why we want to implement this share grant scheme is to motivate, attract and retain key employees and drive the key performance indicators as well as align company interests with the shareholders. Who will govern this scheme? I think the proposed SGS is to be administered by RHB BNRC, Board Remuneration Committee, and governed under a set of bylaws approved by the board. Okay, how are the shares awarded and issued? Okay, the new RHB Bank shares are awarded to selected employees in tranches and vested to them upon fulfillment of the relevant vesting condition and vesting period. The intended mode of settlement shall be via allotment and issuance of a new RHB shares. How many new shares will be issued? I think maximum number of shares will be not more than 2% of the total number of issued shares. Maximum allocation to senior management shall not be more than 40% of the 2% shares issued. What is the duration of the proposed share grant scheme? The duration of the proposed share grant scheme shall be 9 years, with vesting period to be 3 years after the grant date. Okay, who is eligible under the proposed SGS scheme? Shares shall be awarded to selected employees who are Number one, full-time and fixed on a fixed-term contract of employment. Two, working with RHB Banking Group of companies incorporated in Malaysia or a Malaysian citizen working in a RHB Banking Group company incorporated overseas, or also holding a critical roles or whose contribution is critical to the continued success of the group. I think point to note here, the vesting condition to be considered shall include RHB Banking Group performance, RHB Banking Group meeting its performance, the grantee meetings their individual performance, and the grantee being still an employee of RHB Banking Group. Benefit of proposed SGS, we believe that with this, it will increase shareholders' value, driving RHB Banking Group common goal and aspiration by aligning individuals' key performance indicator. We should able to attract talents and retain key employees that will be pertinent in driving the overall RHB Banking Group objective, and to also ensure RHB Bank compensation mix is aligned with the industry and to enhance the competitiveness of RHB Bank's total remuneration package. The intended mode of settlement of the proposed SGS shall be via issuance of the RHB new shares, and the effect of such issuance is set out below. I mean, you can see that the issued shares, capital and substantial shareholding, as this is based on issued share capital and substantial shareholding as at 15 March 2022. Okay, with the number of RHB shares issued as at 15 March 2022 of 4,142,918,508. New shares to be issued, which is 2% of that, it's going to be 82,858,370. That will bring the total shares with the new issue shares will come up to 4,225,776,878. So substantial shareholdings that will be impacted in terms of dilution. Of course, EPF being our major shareholders will be, the dilution will be 0.83%. OSK Holding will be diluted by 0.2%. Kumpulan Wang Persaraan Co-op will be diluted by 0.11%. This is the major shareholders dilution. We are seeing about 1.14%. This is, I think, point to note. This is at the maximum shareholders shares to be issued if all the KPIs are being met, the banks and also individual. On the net asset basis, per RHB shares and gearing, on net asset, I think no effect, save for the estimated expenses. Net asset per share per RHB Bank share decreased due to increase in number of shares issued. There's no effect on the gearing. And on the earnings and earning per shares, EPF earnings decreased due to recognition of MFRS 2 costs on the vesting day. EPS earning per share decreased pursuant to decrease in earnings and increase in number of RHB shares issued. Interested parties shall not deliberate and vote on this entitlement under the proposed SGS scheme. Any deliberation at this relevant board meetings for entitlement of the interested parties under the proposed SGS and voting on the resolution pertaining to the entitlement of the interested parties under the proposed SGS as at the AGM. With this, I will now pass the floor to Trustee Chairman to take us through of the relevant interested and connected parties.
Well, thank you very much, Rashid. Before we start with the question and answer session, and let me just point it to you what do you call the interested party for the proposed SGS as follows. Firstly, Encik Muhammad Rashid Muhammad, who is the Group Managing Director and Group Chief Executive Officer of the RHB Banking Group, is eligible to be awarded the grant under the proposed SGS. Secondly, Mrs. Eliza Ong Yin Xuan, who is the Regional Head of RHB Asset Management Group, Managing Director of RHB Asset Management Jalan Berhad, and the daughter of Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Ong and Puan Sri Ko Chai Moy, is eligible to be awarded the grant under the proposed SGS. Thirdly, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Ong, who is the non-independent, non-executive director of RHB. Fourthly, Puan Sri Ko, he's also a shareholder of RHB Bank and also the spouse of Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Ong. And lastly, OSKH, a major shareholder of RHB Bank, and is connected to Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Ong, being the executive chairman as well as a major shareholder of OSKH, and Puan Sri Ko being the major shareholder of OSKH. I shall now start the question and answer session with the members. We have received questions from shareholders through various mediums and collected the same and addressed the queries. I will now once again invite Encik Muhammad Rashid to highlight the question and answer accordingly.
Thanks again, Tan Sri. We shall put the question. I think these are all the questions that we received earlier. Of course, the first question is still on the door gift. We have mentioned this during the AGM. The bank will not be providing any door gift, including e-vouchers, to shareholders and proxies who participate remotely in this virtual AGM. And we also received question from Lee Moon Ho. Kindly find ways to manage prosperity tax, such as provide door gift, and door gift to shareholders and increase director fees in order to attract best talent. I think the recent benchmarking exercise was conducted by an independent third-party HR consultant against comparative bank, and it's revealed that the fee level for RHB are below market median. I think it is therefore, I think we in line with the expected role of the board, the time commitment, the complexity, role and responsibility. The fee structure has been updated to align with the market and sustain for the next few years. Okay, next question. This is from Chiam Kim Hock. Hopefully, keep same every year. I believe this is on the dividend. So to answer to your question, I think the board believe in balancing returns to shareholders with investment to support the future growth. I mentioned this earlier. I think in 2019, the group revised the dividend payout guidance to minimum 30% as compared to 20% and 30% previously. Next question is coming from Lee Chi Chiang. Expectation of next quarter performance despite the Ukraine crisis. I also have mentioned this earlier. I think just to share again, just to reiterate again. For now, I think it's too early for us to measure the impact. But we are monitoring the market closely, and the group shall remain vigilant on the outlook and for the rest of the year. But of course, we will committed in delivering growth for 2022. We also received a question from PNB. I think this specifically related to SGS scheme that we are asking for approval from shareholders today. Okay, question is, can the share on the basically it's on the possible grant dates, and will there be a separate grant dates for new employees that are eligible for proposed SGS? The answer to that question, the company expect to issue 5 annual grants, with first grant expected to be issued by Q2 2022. And eligible employees, including new employees, will be subjected to the similar timeline. Next question, can you give example of both group and individual, and is there any possibility to split? Okay, an eligible employee may receive SGS up to 5 times. Basically, it's 1 time for each year. Next question, example, this is vesting condition. There are 2 vesting conditions as follows. Number 1, individual performance based on balanced scorecard and to align with RHB ongoing strategy long-term business plan. And number 2, group performance based on RHB performance to be determined by board, any profit indicator such as EBITDA, PBT, ROE, etc. Next question is, it was noted that vesting condition include RHB group meetings performance target. Okay, then yes, ESG, asking about ESG. Yes, ESG is part of the element in the balance scorecard. Next question, I think the next question from PNB is if eligible employees achieve above target, would there be higher multiple performance share be accorded? The remuneration of employee who exceed target will still comprise of the compensation mix between fixed and variable pay. However, the quantum for the LTIP portion will reflect the staff performance. Yes, a multiplier will be applied to the remuneration package subject to board approval. We also received a question on the cost incurred in doing the SGS scheme. I think the cost incurred as per what I shown here is 662, estimated is 662,000. In the case where employees do not meet vesting condition, would RHB be able to reverse the extent of the effect of MFR2 cost on the group earnings cannot be determined at this juncture. Okay, the question is whether we can determine the cost at this juncture. Cannot be determined at this juncture as it depends on the various factors that affect the fair value of RHB shares as at the respective dates of the grant. The next question is the group of eligible employees under cash deferred scheme same as the eligible employees under the proposed SGS scheme? No, the proposed SGS is more open with additional criteria compared to cash deferred scheme. This is again alignment and make it wider to many more staff of RHB in the group, and alignment towards the group overall long-term strategy. Question, what motivate RHB to change the reward scheme? The change will provide better alignment. I think we mentioned about the alignment in many of our answers earlier to group strategy. Further, the eligible employees will be more motivated to perform and contribute to improvement of RHB share price. I think it's more of developing sense of ownership, so you work towards the better achievement of the organization as a whole. Next question. Okay, I think it's more of the how does the proposed SGS change the current compensation model to executive directors, senior managers in terms of compensation base? So the answer to that question is that remuneration and reward packages encompassing the following, of course, fixed pay and also variable pay, comprising of both short and long-term incentive. So the long-term pay is determined based on selected employees' contribution to the continued success of the group. Both CDS and SGS are deferred pay plans. The difference in CDS is cash-based, while SGS is share-based. Allocation shall be based on categories or set based on each role, a line of sight against the group strategy and continued success of the group. Next question is, were there any vesting condition under the previous cash deferred scheme? Similar to proposed SGS, there were 3-year vesting period, and vesting condition would be based on target set for individual and group performance. So to answer to that question is yes. There's also a condition put on CDS. Pay mix pursuant to the proposed SGS, what would the pay mix? I think the pay mix for top and senior management comprise of fixed pay, base pay and allowance, short-term incentive and long-term incentive. Number of eligible person, what are the estimated number of eligible person involved in the program? The target is 1 to 2% of the total employees in Malaysian operation that are critical to our RHB strategy. Employees for overseas operation will not be considered since the proposed SGS would be granted to employees residing in Malaysia. Group HR will plan a package akin to cash deferred scheme for this group of employees instead. At a mode of settlement would be via issuance of new shares. And what are the type of benchmarking does RHB use to arrive to the compensation value for the senior management, especially for me, specifically for me and also Eliza? I think based on the market data, this was done independently by Willis Tower Watson. RHB will consider the total compensation inclusive of basic salary, bonus, long-term incentive comparative to similar position in the market. WTW has around 40 organizations in database for benchmarking, for your information. Compensation value benchmark for Encik Muhammad Rashid and Ms. Eliza, what is the expected total? The maximum potential allocation shares as per the circular, that is over the period of 5 years. For clarity, the proposed SGS would be additional compensation to me and also to Ms. Eliza. And compensation, to answer to this question, whether there's a cash deferred scheme for Eliza, yes. Eliza received cash, Ms. Eliza Ong also received cash deferred scheme before. Okay, that is all the question that we have received earlier, Tan Sri. If I may, now we also have some live question coming in. So, okay, the first question coming from Lo Man Siong. Any plan to exercise bonus issues? I think we answered this question earlier. There's no for now. From Lim Jit Tin, afternoon, would not be enlarged shares option, okay? EGM, but further dilute the dividend. Dividend payout is dependent on the performance of RHB Banking Group. So the higher the performance is, the higher dividend payout will be. So it's in line, like we mentioned earlier, it's an alignment of the performance of the bank. So it's a motivation towards achieving the overall group performance. Can we go to the next question if there's any? Looks okay. We have one more question, I was told. Yeah. What would be the measure of success of this scheme? I mean, clearly, like we mentioned earlier, the most important features or criteria before this get vested or granted, performance of the bank as a whole, certain criteria will be set. Performance of the KPI will be a measurement as to whether this share grant scheme would be a success. So I think typically we have seen this. I think this is not also not uncommon. I think all of the organisation would reward their workforce based on performance towards achieving the overall objective, overall strategy of the group. Is that all? Thank you so much. Thanks for the question. I shall now pass back the floor to Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri. Thanks again for all the questions, and see you soon.
Thank you very much, Encik Rashid. And thank you for all the questions. And if there are certain questions which have yet to be answered, we will respond later. With that, the question and answer session is now closed. I will proceed with the agenda at hand. The first agenda The first item on the agenda is the proposed establishment of a share grant scheme of RHB Bank and its subsidiaries of up to 2% of the total number of issued shares or of RHB banks, excluding treasury shares at any point in time. Agenda 1, ladies and gentlemen, Agenda 1 is on the Ordinary Resolution 1, i.e. for the proposed establishment of a share grant scheme of RHB Bank and its subsidiaries of up to 2% of the total number of issued shares of RHB Bank. Please be advised that pursuant to the Section 85 of the Companies Act 2016, read together with Article 14, subsection E, subsection 1 of the Constitution of RHB Bank, RHB shareholders have a statutory preemptive right to be offered any new issue shares which rank equally to the existing shares issued by the company. By you voting in favor of the proposed Ordinary Resolution 1, 2 and 3, you will be waiving your statutory preemptive right, and the proposed Ordinary Resolution 1, 2 and 3, if passed, will exclude your statutory preemptive right to be offered any new shares to be issued by the company pursuant to the proposed share grant scheme. The next item on the agenda is on the approval for the proposed allocation of up to a maximum of 2,630,400 RHB Bank shares under the proposed share grant scheme to Encik Muhammad Rashid Mohamad, the Group Managing Directors and Group Chief Executive Officer of RHB Banking Group, which will be vested to him at a future date, subject always to such term and condition of the bylaw. We move next to Ordinary Resolution 3, that is the proposed allocation of up to 590,000 RHB Bank shares under the proposed share grant scheme to Ms. Eliza Ong Jin Xuan, the Regional Head, RHB Asset Management Group and Managing Director of RHB Asset Management Jalan Berhad, which will be vested to her at a future date, subject always to such term and condition of the bylaw. I wish to highlight that Ms. Eliza Ong is the daughter of the Bahagia Tan Sri Ong Leong Hat, a non-independent, a non-executive director of RHB Bank. And in addition, OSK Holding Berhad, a major shareholder of RHB Bank, is connected to Yang Bahagia Tan Sri Ong Leong Hat, and by virtue of Yang Bahagia Tan Sri Ong being the executive chairman as well as a major shareholders of OSK Holding Berhad, and Puan Sri Ko Chai Moy, by virtue of Puan Sri Ko being a major shareholder of OSK Holding Berhad. As such, OSK Holding Berhad is deemed interested in the proposed share grant scheme to the extent of the entitlement to Ms. Eliza Ong, and will therefore abstain from voting on its direct and or indirect shareholdings in RHB Bank on the resolution for the entitlement of Ms. Eliza Ong under the proposed share grant scheme. Further, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Ong and Puan Sri Ko will ensure that person connected to them, if any, will abstain from voting on their direct and indirect shareholdings on the resolution for the entitlement of Ms. Eliza under the proposed share grant scheme. Ladies and gentlemen, as all resolutions have been tabled and there is no other business to be transacted at this meeting, we shall proceed with the conclusion of the voting session. Please cast your vote before the poll is closed in 10 minutes' time. For the benefit of the members, I wish to inform once again that I have been appointed to act as a proxy for a number of members, and I shall vote in accordance with the instruction given. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall now close the poll voting. Messrs. KPMG PLT, our scrutineers, will now verify the poll result and validate their report. limited time period of about 15 minutes reserved for the purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, the scrutineers has verified the poll result and validated their report. For Ordinary Resolution 1, proposed establishment of a share grant scheme of RHB Bank and its subsidiaries, 88.2% have voted in favor of the resolution and 11.8% have voted against the resolution. Consequently, ladies and gentlemen, I declare Ordinary Resolution 1 carried. For Ordinary Resolution 2, i.e. proposed allocation to Encik Muhammad Rashid Muhammad, 88.2% have voted in favor of the resolution and 11.8% have voted against the resolution. Consequently, ladies and gentlemen, I declare Ordinary Resolution 2 carried. For Ordinary Resolution 3, proposed allocation to Ms. Eliza Ong Yin Xuan, 86.24% have voted in favor of the resolution and 13.76% have voted against the resolution. Consequently, ladies and gentlemen, I declare Ordinary Resolution 3 carried. Ladies and gentlemen, as there is no other business to be transacted at this AGM, I now declare the meeting closed. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you very much for your participation. Stay safe, stay healthy. Selamat berpuasa dan selamat Hari Raya.